Yo, what is up everybody? It's a Myth here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys some beginner's tips, some starter tips for Breach, the agent in Valorant. He's one of the newer ones that people haven't seen too much about. I've been playing him a lot over the playtest that happened, so I'll be going over his abilities, some things to keep in mind, some tips and tricks, some use case scenarios of how you want to use them and the best ways to execute them, things to look out for, etc. All right, so the first thing that I really want to point out is that every single one of his abilities work on opponents, but they also have friendly fire, like they could impact your teammates. So if you pop a flash and your teammates looking at it, they'll get flashed. If you use your concuss or your fault line and it hits your teammate, they will also get like disoriented by it and have slow fire rate. If you ult and your teammates are in the area as well, they will also feel the effects of it. So every single one of his abilities have an effect on your teammates. The only one that doesn't is actually going to be Aftershock, which is his. You'll figure out what Aftershock is. Actually, I'll save it for when we get there. But when it comes down to the abilities, we're going to start with Flashpoint, and that is Breach's flashbang ability. So the first thing that you want to note about Flashpoint is actually the way that you use this ability. Flashpoint, you cast it on a wall, and then the flash will actually, so let's say this is like a wall, and you pop it here, it will appear on the other side of the wall and flash anything that's on that other side. So as you can see in some of these clips, there are times where I'm flashing and it pops, and you could see the pop appear like on the corner or the other side of the wall that I initially cast it on. And that will always be the case with that ability. Sort of like Phoenix's flash, where he could do it in the air. He has a lot more flexibility with his. Breaches is just on walls and terrain and objects and flashing the other side of them. So with this information, you really should start getting creative with how you do certain flashes and just knowing which little crevices and creaks and corners you could pop it into and get a good flash off on another side of a wall. And on top of that, the minimap will actually show you where your flash will be popping or where it will end up. So if you don't know if a flash will be able to get through one wall or another or to this position or not, all you have to do is look up on the minimap and you'll see a little yellow circle that will allow you to easily see where exactly that flash is gonna pop. So flashes are actually really good for taking little skirmishes with people. A lot of the times people don't expect a breach to flash certain walls. Once you get good with them and once you start learning, you get more comfortable with what you can flash and what you can't flash through walls. So that's why I think experimenting with it was really important to mastering breach and becoming a really effective breach. His flashes give him that flexibility to be that like clutch character, to be that person that could pop off and get a few frags. The main thing to note here are his flashes go through walls. Experiment heavily with flashes and different ones you could do. Look at the minimap so you could see where they're gonna pop. But now we're gonna go into his next ability, which is Faultline. So Faultline is a super far range ability that goes through all terrain, all walls, elevation, doesn't matter. It basically hits anything that's in its proximity that you cast it into. So it also appears on the minimap, so you're able to sort of figure out and see where exactly it's going and line it up just about right. The effects that it has on the people that it gets casted on is actually it disorients them. It makes like their vision all like wobbly. And then it also slows down their fire rate significantly. Once I got hit by it, the first time I got hit by it, I literally thought that I had like semi-auto mode on my weapon, but there wasn't. I just got just knocked, like absolutely walloped by Breach. Literally, you could shoot it halfway across the map, and you'll see me do that a lot when I play Breach. Actually, is I'll see somebody playing a choke, and let's say they just got eliminated. I'll charge it, make the range super long, and then I'll be able to get like a halfway across the map, like disorient or slow on people that will stop them from pushing an objective or stop them from pushing a site. And this is what typically will give you your team enough time to like rotate around and get positioned in and maybe even get a frag off or not. And with that ability, it also recharges. You know, if you start getting really good with them, it becomes something that the enemy team despises a good Breach player for. But the tricky thing about Breach and almost all of his abilities is that you don't know necessarily if you hit people or not. There is no confirmation for Faultline to really know if you hit someone when it's super far away. If you do hit somebody though, and then you actually like see them physically, they'll have like stars around their head, like Looney Tune cartoon stars or something like that. So that's how you'll be able to like know. Kind of have to respect the push still, but like hope that you hit somebody and that your ability is having those effects. All right, now we're gonna talk about Aftershock. And Aftershock is going to be the ability that you probably get off the least. It's an extremely difficult ability to actually execute. And the reason that is because it's extremely short range, and you can still shoot it through walls and such, but it also has an extremely long wind up time. So essentially what this ability does is you cast it out, it appears on the other side of a wall, similarly to a flash, but in like a really large circle. With that bubble, anyone that's caught up in it when it pops will actually just get eliminated. It's essentially a one-shot insta-kill ability, but it's once again, it's one of those abilities that is extremely hard to get off on. The way that I've found it to be the most useful is if you know somebody's planning a bomb and you want to cancel that. A lot of the sites have like boxes set up for the plant site, so you could pop one on the other side of the box if you know he's planning on the other side and completely eliminate that guy, get the bomb down, and then reposition. But yeah, for the most part, there's not much to really go over with that ability. It's really self-explanatory. With all of Breach's abilities, as a Breach player, you need to understand that you need to experiment with different walls in different angles. Just know that like, as you get into Breach, play with the mindset of, hey, I'm gonna try to see where I could put these abilities down. All right, for the final ability of Breach, we have a Rolling Thunder. Like the name is, it rolls along as you cast it, sort of like a wave of horizontal lines. It doesn't all just happen at once, but this ability, what it does is that it knocks up your opponents and then it dazes anyone that's hit with it. So they get the knock up and then the little knock up and then they get dazed. Obviously, as you could tell so far, Breach is a lot about CC, and with his ultimate, the cone being as big as it is, this is a perfect ability for cutting off attackers. It is a great way to stop somebody from planting the bomb. It is a great way to defend a site. There's a lot of really great uses for this ult. This is one of the highest impact ults in the game, in my opinion. It's such a driving force in rounds when it happens. If you do get two people caught up in it, or if you do end up playing a site with it, it is life or death for the enemy team. I mean, it's just so good. It's just so good. I don't know what else to say. This is actually one of my favorite ults in the game. Breach is one of my favorite characters in the game, which is why I'm making this video and why I have so much to say about Breach. But trust me when I say this ult is ridiculous. It's insane. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for his ultimate. In terms of how you could cast or use it, it is just like Faultline, where it goes through all walls, all terrain. No matter what's in between you and your opponents, it's gonna get there and it's gonna hit. So once again, the overall big tip with Breach is experiment, because it's going to be the thing that allows you to clutch up rounds. Once you gain that knowledge of what you can and what you can't do with your abilities, and it is going to make you pretty insane on this agent. I think that is all for the video, boys. Appreciate it a lot. If you enjoyed this, please leave a thumbs up. Comment down below if you want to see some more of this. When the game comes out, I can make an even more in-depth Breach tutorial. I can do a lot of things here with Breach, and because personally he's one of my favorite characters, and I would love to show you guys all about him. So appreciate you guys for watching once again. Make sure you hit that sub button before you dip. See you guys in the next one. Take it easy.